Parents of abducted Chibok girls plea for rescue on 10th anniversary. Gunmen fatally shoot mourner in Benue State. NDLEA crackdown leads to arrest of pregnant woman and widow. On the international scene, Israeli minister warns of retaliation against Iran. Welcome to the News Hour on Trust Television. I am Aisha Salihu. It's the 10th anniversary of the Chibok schoolgirls abduction. And now, parents and recently rescued Chibok girls are urging the federal government to secure the release of the remaining girls still held captive by Boko Haram militants. Their plea comes as the Chibok community marks the solemn 10-year anniversary since the abduction of 276 schoolgirls from Government Secondary School, Chibok. Trustee Beatrice Kurusi reported on the 10 years remembrance.
Government Secondary School Chibok saw a significant influx of residents, visitors and parents of Chibok girls, including some who had been rescued during the early hours of Sunday. The gathering commemorated the 10-year mark since the abduction of 276 schoolgirls by Boko Haram terrorists in 2014, an event that garnered global attention and condemnation. As prayers were offered for the remaining girls still in captivity, emotions ran high, leading to tearful moments. Attendees also took the opportunity to share their thoughts and reflections on the anniversary.
The 10-year anniversary of the Chibok girls' adoption serves as a painful reminder of the ongoing challenges that our community and our nation face in addressing the threat of the insurgency and the protection of our students. It is a call to action for all of us to redouble our efforts in ensuring the safety and security of our people, particularly young girls who are the future of our nation. Let us work tirelessly to ensure that the Chibok girls and all those who have been abducted are returned, are reunited with their families and given the opportunity to rebuild their lives.
I visited places in the world for my official engagement. I visited Germany, I visited Switzerland, I visited America many times. I visited Dominican Republic, and each time they notice I'm a Nigerian, the first question they will ask, how about the Chibok school girls?
Call that wherever those girls are, I know they are not in one place, they are scattered all over. Now God will make a way of escape for them. On our own part, we'll continue to do our best to make sure that we continue to provide the needed security to the good people of Chibok and the entire area where this brigade is covering. So I use this opportunity also to call on all the terrorists out there who are still in the bush that the area they come out and surrender to turn into the better for them, because they will not continue.
Even after a decade, 89 girls remain unaccounted for, leaving many parents still holding on to hope and waiting anxiously for the safe return of their daughters. All eyes are on the federal government to ensure the rescue and safe return of these girls. Beatrice Kurusi, Trust TV News, Maiduguri.
Similarly, the Borno state government has reaffirmed its dedication to rescuing the remaining missing Chibok girls and facilitating their reunion with their families. Speaking at the NUJ Center in Maiduguri during the 10th anniversary commemoration of the Chibok schoolgirls' abduction, the Commissioner of Information and Security underscored the government's commitment, highlighting recent successes, including the rescue of 16 girls who have been integrated into schools and reunited with their families. Professor Usman Tar emphasized the government's unwavering determination to ensure the safety of all girls. Furthermore, Professor Tar outlined Governor Zulum's proactive measures, including efforts to secure the release of IDPs abducted in Ngala camps, resettling IDPs in their ancestral homes, addressing fire outbreaks, and sustaining security in the state as part of the Borno State Restoration Project.
10 years ago, the Boko Haram insurgents criminally abducted 276 of our innocent girls and their horses at the government's girls' secondary school, Chibok. This painful date is engraved in our memory, and we shall not rest on our oars until the last of our innocent girls are back home with their families. On this auspicious occasion of the 10th anniversary of the abduction of Chibok girls, the Borno State government identifies with all those who are affected by the abduction. The government wishes to inform the public that we will continue to identify and commiserate with the parents and relatives of the Chibok girls who are still in captivity, while we work assiduously on the rehabilitation of those who have been rescued.
Meanwhile, the Chibok community in Chibok local government area, located in eastern Borno State, is demanding the release of the General Sabo fact-finding report from 2014. This report shed light on the circumstances that led to the infamous abduction of the Chibok girls. Among other key findings, the request was made by the national president of the Chibok Area Development Association during the 10th year commemoration of the abduction. Trustee Neil Sampson has details of this report.
As the community commemorates the 10th year since the adoption of the Chibok girls, tears fill the eyes of many. Amidst this sober occasion, community members are seeking answers from the Borno state government. They want to know under what guise and by what legal authority the state government permits the controversial and concerning practice of arranging marriages between returning girls and purportedly repentant terrorists. Additionally, they are questioning how the voices of these girls themselves, as those of their parents or guardians, are being taken into account in decisions regarding their rehabilitation and reintegration process.
Are there support services by the Borno State government specifically tailored to address the psychological and emotional needs of these girls who may have experienced trauma during their captivity? Number 4, what measures have the Borno State government put in place to ensure the safety and security of the girls both in Maiduguri and upon their eventual return to Chibok? Number 5, how can the parents and or the guardians of the girls be actively involved in the planning and implementation of the programs aimed at their rehabilitation and reintegration into society? Number 6, are the girls currently residing in Maiduguri housed with the repentant, so-called repentant Boko Haram terrorists, or are they housed separately? That's why I said these are piercing questions. They're not yes or no questions.
The community also issued demands to both the Borno State government and the federal government. These include the immediate release of the General Sabo Fact-Finding Committee report from 2014 and the urgent release of the rescued Chibok girls currently in the custody of the Borno State government, among other pressing requests.
We need an upgrade of the secondary school in Chibok from where they were removed, because for those who have visited Chibok recently would understand what we're talking about here. The so-called rehabilitation is only good on pages of the newspapers and on the electronic media. We want those schools to be properly rehabilitated and put to better use. Number 5, immediate disclosure of all the names of the daughters reported to be dead, as witnessed and established by their classmates and friends while in captivity. There's no dodging the bullet here. 2 of the parents have since gotten the news of the passing of their daughters and have brought a closure on their own. Sadly so. The parents and the community leadership want this position taken immediately rather than the endless and the hopeless waiting that we think is playing the ostrich.
In 2014, we cried. and we said as a movement that we are all Chibok girls. We said that as a way to garner a collective outcry to forestall the unnatural occurrence of the abduction. Regrettably, 10 years on, we are all indeed Chibok girls. Incidents of attacks on schools have spread to the northwest and even southern Nigeria. So far, 80 new incidents of attacks on schools have now been documented, with more than 1,800 students and 64 teachers abducted, while 184 students and 15 teachers have been reportedly killed.
10 years have passed since the infamous night of April 14, 2014, when Boko Haram insurgents stormed the government girls' secondary school in Chibok, Borno State, adopting 276 girls and igniting global outrage. A decade later, the fate of 89 of these girls remain uncertain. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Also, the Christian Association of Nigeria has urged the federal government to step up efforts and take decisive action to rescue the remaining abducted Chibok schoolgirls who have endured captivity for a decade. Reverend Azumba Emmanuel Nicodemus, the National Director for Education, Youth and Women Development of CAN, emphasized the urgency of the situation in a statement issued on Saturday. Highlighting the gravity of the Chibok abduction, Reverend Nicodemus stressed that it cannot be overlooked or forgotten, as it represents a deeply tragic event that has scarred the nation's conscience. CAN reaffirmed its steadfast demand for the government to escalate rescue efforts, mobilize resources, and collaborate with relevant security agencies and international partners to secure the prompt release of the remaining Chibok schoolgirls. The call from CAN underscores the ongoing plea for justice and compassion towards the abducted girls and their families, urging swift action to bring them back to safety and reunite them with their loved ones. A decade has passed since the tragic abduction of the Chibok schoolgirls in Nigeria, a day that remains etched in the memories of many, carrying with it a heavy weight of sorrow and longing. As families affected by this tragedy reflect on their children still held in captivity, their hearts ache with a mixture of hope and despair, yearning for the safe return of their loved ones. Recently in Chibok, Gaza Yakubu witnessed firsthand the ongoing plight of the victims and their families. Through tearful eyes and trembling voices, they shared stories of resilience in the face of unimaginable pain and uncertainty. Each passing day brings renewed anguish and a fervent plea to the government to expedite efforts in rescuing the remaining girls, a plea echoed in the depths of their souls. Take a look.
Bring back our girls now and alive. What are we asking for?
10 years have passed since the harrowing night when Boko Haram militant stormed into government girls' secondary school in Chibok, Nigeria, and abducted 276 girls. Though some managed to escape or were later rescued, many remain missing to this day. Esther Yakubu, one of the affected parents, expressed weariness over the government's unfulfilled promises.
10 years is not 10 days, no 10 weeks, no 10 months. They are not even talking about Chibok girls anymore. If the government have cared about us, I think our girls will be out by now. 10 years is too much.
The parents, whose health have worsened, with some losing their lives over time, are devastated by the situation and hope the return of the remaining girls would help them recover from their ailments.
Mu dai ku kanmu kowane lokaci akan yaranmu nan ne, ko mun yi tashi akan barci, yaranmu ne muke tunani. Yanzu gwara mu da kanana, kamar first born, kamar second born muna da ɗan dama. muna da ɗan karfi, amma irin kamar iyayenmu nan da suka ɗan sofa wannan, to gwara wayannan da ka gani, in ba haka ba wayansu wanda suna can wallahi ba za su iya su zo garin nan ba, tsantsan tunani ya riga ya cinye musu karfi, su tashi su je su yi fitsari a bayan gida su dama ba za su iya ba. Saboda haka a yi mana taimako yadda wayannan yara in Allah ya yarda kafin nan kwana 14 nan ko za mu samu ganin su da ikon Allah da jama'a.
The Borno State government, while responding to some of their plight, promises the safe return of the remaining girls.
We will never lose hope. These are our girls. They were stolen, abducted in broad daylight by these criminals. Government is working tirelessly to rescue the remainder of the girls, and I appeal to parents to exercise patience. Rescue mission, rescue operation requires patience, and it requires trust in our gallant forces in order to deal with the matter. So I appeal to them. We acknowledge their pains, but I appeal to them on behalf of Borno State government to continue to exercise patience while we deal with the matter. We will not rest on our oars. We will not allow this criminality to go without being arrested. We will make sure that each of these girls are rescued in good health and reunited with their families.
Despite international outcry and efforts to locate and rescue the missing girls, including the Bring Back Our Girls campaign, the fate of many remain unknown.
Joining us in the studio is Trust TV's investigative reporter, Gaza Yakubu. Thank you so much for joining us, Gaza, on the News Hour tonight.
Thank you for having me.
It's 10 years, and you have been covering events that followed this abduction 10 years ago. Now, I'd like to hear from you. Kindly tell us, can you paint a picture of Chibok community and how this incident that happened 10 years ago has impacted it?
Well, Chibok's community is one of those communities you could refer to as a local community, kind of. And the impact that this Chibok girls' abduction had on the community is very impactful, because when you talk about the economical situation of the community, you discover that they have been so much impacted, in the sense that you hardly find vehicles vehicles moving from Maiduguri assessing the Chibok community. I would like to paint a picture with the experience I had while trying to travel from Maiduguri down to Chibok. I can tell you that it took us not less than 4 days before we could be able to assess Chibok community. And assessing the community was not through the normal routes that usually people could assess if they're going through from Maiduguri down to Chibok. We had to go through Bama. From Bama, we head down to Pulka. From Pulka, we went to Goza, and then from Goza, head to Adamawa State. And it was from Adamawa State that we were able to assess, the Chibok community. Ordinarily, we would have gone through, Maiduguri, the Sambisa, and then Damboa, and then we go straight to Maiduguri, which will probably take you 6 hours or maybe 5. But the situation that the community is having right now, I'm talking about the conflict, has really, really impacted the community, that you cannot assess the community except probably you're going around. And in terms of economical activities and restriction, it has really, really impacted, members of the community.
Gaza, I'm hearing uncertainty, fear, and also normalcy yet to be restored to the community. Now, I'd like to know, what can you tell us about the optimism of the parents you have spoken to?
In terms of uncertainty and the fear, uncertainty in the sense that the parent cannot, they yet do not have hope if they're going to see, their children again. Despite the fact some of them are hopeful that yes, they may, but which is what is keeping them alive. But the truth of the matter is 10 years is such a long time. And for you to stay 10 years without seeing your daughter, it can be devastating,
Now, I'm very particular about this particular line of question I'm bringing forward to you. We're hearing that some parents and the rescued girls are somewhat being gagged from speaking to press, from speaking to the media. I'd like to hear from you, from your perspective. Why do you think this is going on? Why do you think this is happening? And from your interaction with them, is there somewhat some, say, confidence to speak with the media?
Okay, in terms of restriction, yes, there are so many restrictions, and I feel the government is trying to be careful on the kind of information that goes out, because trying to assess some of the victims, I could remember one of them telling me that a lot of media organizations have come in to tell story that is not in favor. Now, it's their own perception to the story. Whosoever is going to the community as a journalist is to put information out there to the public space, so that people can make sense of what is happening to the abducted Chibok girls. But then again, there are really, really restrictive measures, because I remember when we went to assess the Chibok parents community in Chibok, and then there is this chain of command where if they don't get instruction, probably from the Borno state government, they really cannot entertain anybody. And I remember at a point I was told that I'm not permitted to be in Chibok because I'm yet to get clearance from the government, which some of our colleagues in Maiduguri were trying to get for me while I go down to Chibok to have interaction with some of these victims. So at a point I felt left in the field, because with what they told me, they said I wasn't even supposed to be in the community. And I was now beginning to wonder how I would go back to Maiduguri following the same long route, because the normal route of assessing Maiduguri was not available until the military say the road is clear. You really cannot ply that road. So that alone made me start thinking, how do I go back and all of that? So what I had to do at that point in time was to deploy some investigative techniques of trying to film secretly and then have interactions with some of the victims, since I cannot be prevented from talking to the victims.
Just before we let you go, I wouldn't do justice to this if I don't talk about the documentary that aired earlier. In the documentary, you capture the trauma that has affected the families of these abducted girls. What is the government doing about supporting them cope with the situation?
Well, as at the time we interviewed the Commissioner of Information and Internal Security, Borno State, he said they are not, resting on the issues of these Chibok girls. They are working tirelessly to ensure that, these girls are returned back to their parents. But the question is, it is taking too long, than usual, because a lot of people would want to say, why is it taking this long for you to rescue the girls? Actually, if you go to Maiduguri and then, Chibok, you see lots of security presence there. But on what they are doing as to regards to the rescue of this, Chibok girls, the questions can best be answered by them. But the state government assured us that they are doing everything, that they can to ensure the safe release of these girls.
Thank you so much. 10 years long indeed begs the question of what the state government is doing to ensure the safe return of these girls back to their loved ones. And that was Gaza Yakubu, trustee, this investigative reporter. Thank you so much for joining us on the News Hour tonight.
Thank you.
Away from that, in Benue State, a mourner has been shot dead by gunmen in upper local government area of the state. The incident reportedly occurred during a funeral procession in upper local government area when the victim was shot and killed. The victim, identified as Emmanuel, was among those accompanying a deceased community member for burial when they came under attack. Fearing for their lives, they had to flee to Boko, where displaced people seek refuge. Despite their hopes for a peaceful farewell, their gathering was shattered by gunfire, resulting in Emmanuel's untimely death. This distressing event highlights the ongoing insecurity in the region, leaving residents shaken and concerned for their safety. With the police yet to confirm the details, uncertainty looms heavy over the community, adding to their grief and anguish. Away from security matters, the National Union of Electricity Employees has urged the federal government to reconsider the recent tariff increase, warning of its detrimental impact on the economy and the poor. The increase affecting customers enjoying 20 hours of daily power under the Band A classification has seen prices surge from 66 naira to 225 naira per kilowatt hour. In a letter to the Minister of Power, NUEE expressed concern over the tariff hike, exacerbating the already high cost of living, potentially driving consumers towards foreign goods due to unaffordable local products. The union emphasized the risk of local businesses shutting down amidst dwindling patronage. NUEE called for the withdrawal of the tariff increase, citing its adverse effects on both citizens and the safety of electricity workers, who face community backlash during disconnections. The union criticized the lack of consultation stakeholder consultation in the decision-making process. Meanwhile, electricity generation in the country has sharply declined to 2,775 megawatts, a 32.3% drop from the previous week, according to data from the Nigeria Electricity System Operator, indicating further challenges in the power sector. This is the News Hour on Trust Television, coming up shortly. Katsina hit by water scarcity as residents run out of options. We'll bring you insights and details of this story and more after the break. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back and thank you so much for staying with us. But if you're just joining us, this is the News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. Parents of abducted Chibok girls plea for rescue on 10th anniversary. Gunmen fatally shoot mourner in Benue State. Two more stories. Following the invasion of Oyo State government secretariat by Yoruba Nation agitators, Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke has directed preemptive security measures to prevent similar incidents. Adeleke instructed his special advisor on security matters to mobilize joint security teams to secure key government buildings in Osun State, including the state government secretariat and the government house. He emphasized the importance of a united Nigeria and urged agitators to pursue reforms within the constitutional framework, advocating for a truly federal system. In Oyo State, police authorities, along with other security agencies, arrested 20 suspects involved in the invasion of the state government premises in Agodi, Ibadan. Weapons, ammunition, and ATMs were recovered from the suspects. In a combined effort, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board and the Nigeria Police Force have warned candidates against fake sites ahead of the 2024 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination. The Force Public Relations Officer, ACP Olumuyiwa Adejobi, cautioned against deceptive websites aiming to mislead candidates by extracting personal information. These fake sites are designed to trick candidates into providing sensitive details like registration numbers, email addresses, and phone numbers. ACP Adejobi highlighted collaborative efforts with the NPF NCCC to combat online scams effectively. The Force PRO affirmed a strong stance against cyber criminals, ensuring they face legal consequences.
The 2024 UTME is scheduled to commence on Friday, 19th February 2024 and end on Monday, 29th April 2024. We call on parents, guardians, and the general public to join hands in fostering a culture of integrity and compliance with established guidelines. Together, we can nurture a generation of upright and law-abiding leaders by discouraging fraudulent practices and desperation.
We are urging candidates to note that once you receive any unsolicited message, know that it is fraud. It is a scam. We have liberalized our processes. We have offices in all the 36 states of the Federation, including Abuja. Once you have any challenge, you can also raise a ticket. We have a ticketing platform where your questions will be attended to within 24 hours.
In a swift operation, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency apprehended 3 suspects, including an 8-month pregnant woman at Jabi Park in Abuja. The trio was found in possession of 3.2 million naira in counterfeit cash. Director of Media and Advocacy for NDLEA, Femi Babafemi, revealed the details of the operation, emphasizing the agency's commitment to combating illicit activities. The interception followed a trail of fake naira notes seized in Lokoja, Kogi State, leading to the swift apprehension of the culprits in Abuja. In a related development, Babafemi said the NDLEA officers, in collaboration with men of the Nigerian Navy ship Lugard Base, Lokoja, intercepted 37-year-old Aliyu Lawal along Lokoja-Abuja Road on Monday, 8 April, and recovered 620 blocks of cannabis weighing 310 kilograms from him. 10 sacks of the same psychoactive substance weighing 98 kilograms were also seized along the Okene-Lokoja-Abuja Expressway by NDLEA operatives from Jama Obodo 44 in a commercial bus coming from Ilesha, Osun State Road, Taraba State on Wednesday, 10th April. In Cross River State, a 40-year-old widow and mother of 2, Theodora Ita, was on Monday, 8 April, arrested at Basi Edom, Calabar by NDLEA operatives for producing and selling a lethal new psychoactive substance, NPS, locally called combined, as at the time of her arrest, 18 liters of the dangerous substance in used paint drums were recovered from her. In her statement, she claimed she started the illicit drug production and distribution in October 2023. Another suspect, Godwin Okong Samuel, 48, was apprehended at the Esit Ebum area of Calabar with 39.4 kilograms of cannabis sativa on Tuesday, 9th April. In northwest Nigeria, perennial water scarcity has hit Katsina City and its environs, subjecting residents to prolonged difficulties in getting water. Residents have been battling with the acute water shortages due to supply from Ajiwa Waterworks and electricity to power boreholes in the ancient city and environs. Trustee Abdullahi Yamadi went round the ancient city and tells us more.
The population of Katsina Metropolis in 2023 stands at 524,000, showing an increase of 3.76% from 2022 estimates, which in contrast indicates that over half of the people are depending on boreholes for drinking water and other domestic purposes. Water from Ajiwa Dam, constructed in 1958, remains insignificant to the residents after sinking billions of naira for rehabilitation and upgrade of the dam and the waterworks by the immediate past administration in Katsina State. At the moment, each jerrycan of water is sold between 100 to 120 naira in some areas of Katsina City, a situation that compounded the harsh economic condition of the residents, who are mostly low-income earners. The suffering is too much. A cart containing 12 jerrycans of water is sold at 1,200. Okay, this multiplied by 30 days is how much? Where do you think I can get the money from? People are suffering seriously, and it's like authorities concerned are adamant about it. Greater percentage of residents in Katsina City are solely dependent on commercial boreholes for drinking water and other purposes, most of which have collapsed due to inadequate electricity, shrinking the livelihood of the people. The commercial borehole owners said they cannot afford fuel to power their boreholes, and the electricity supply has deteriorated to a level that it's no longer reliable. The last state administration promised to alleviate the water scarcity, but failed. Now, people cannot afford water in Katsina after committing billions in the sector by the immediate past administration. Now, this commercial water point cannot work for some days due to inadequate electricity. They cannot afford fuel to power the boreholes. Government on its part is saying it has budgeted billions of naira in its 2024 estimate to address water scarcity affecting the capital city. The management of the State Water Board asserts,
we have never stopped supplying water to where we have been supplying before, unless where those areas that have not been getting our water due to some blockages or other technical problems.
Residents of the state capital may continue to suffer this perennial water shortage for a while, as there is no apparent sign of relief in the nearest future. Abdullahi Izumayamadi, Trust Television News, Katsina.
And to the south-south part of the country, the air component of the Nigerian military's Special Task Force, Operation Delta Safe, bombarded several illegal oil refining sites and other bases of economic saboteurs in Rivers on Friday and Saturday. Director, Public Relations and Information of the Nigerian Air Force, AVM, Edward Gapquet, stated on Sunday in Abuja that the airstrikes diminished the capabilities of oil thieves significantly. He assured that the strikes ensured that economic saboteurs' hits would no longer be able to burst pipelines to steal crude oil. Gapquet stated that an illegal refining site was destroyed at Idama community and 4 boats, which reconnaissance found to have been loaded with illegally refined products, were equally destroyed. The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project has urged President Bola Tinubu to publish copies of loan agreements obtained by the administration of past presidents since 1999. SERAP, through its call for the publication of loan agreements and spending details, is emphasizing the importance of transparency in governance. By urging President Tinubu to disclose these agreements and conduct independent audits, SERAP says it is aiming to hold past administrations accountable for their use of public funds. This transparency not only serves to prevent corruption and mismanagement, but also fosters trust between the government and the people it serves. The statement says the move aligns with the principles of democracy, where citizens have the right to know how their government is using their resources. SERAP's advocacy highlights the significance of openness and accountability in ensuring effective governance and combating financial misconduct. You're still watching News Hour on Trust TV. We'll return shortly. Welcome back and thank you so much for staying. Now, away from Nigeria, in the ongoing Middle East crisis, Israel has asserted its intention to retaliate against Iran for the recent attack, stating that it will exact a price at the opportune moment. The attack, which saw over 300 drones and missiles launched by Iran, was largely intercepted by Israel, although there were some hits on Israeli territory. This marked the first direct targeting of Israel by Iran from its own soil, drawing widespread condemnation. While the specifics of Israel's response remain unclear, War Cabinet Minister Benny Gantz has affirmed their determination to hold Iran accountable for the attack. The tensions escalated after an Israeli strike in Damascus resulted in the deaths of Iranian military commanders, prompting Iran's warning of retaliation. Despite calls for restraint from world leaders, Iran has cautioned that any reckless action by Israel will be met with a much stronger response. To give us further insights and perspectives on this particular issue, we have Dr. Jude Momodu, a security expert, joining us on the News Hour tonight. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Jude Momodu.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, I'd like to hear from you. What can you make of the recent retaliatory attacks by Iran on Israel?
Well, it's a very dangerous development that we are seeing playing out between Israel and Iran. Of course, there's a history to what we are seeing now. For many years, many decades, there has been this tension between Israel and Iran. And of course, before we saw Iran launching over 300 missiles and drone attack on Israel. It was Israel that first bombed the Iranian embassy in Damascus in Syria. So Iran now had to retaliate. What we are seeing now, and the conversation that we're also seeing coming out from Israel, the Israel War Cabinet had a meeting, and they have said that they are going to retaliate also. This is escalating tension within the Middle East region. Of course, you know that when this kind of thing happens, there will be support. There will be mobilized support from the two sides, and it's not good for the Middle East, and it's also not good for the world. Of course, if there's a direct confrontation between Israel and Iranian, it's going to have a lot of consequences for the global economy. In this regard, I'm talking about the oil economy. Aside from the destruction that will be brought up upon the Middle East. So I'm happy that there are lots of meetings ongoing to see to how to de-escalate the tension between Iran and Israel. Of course, the United Nations Security Council is also meeting to see how to de-escalate the tension. I'm also aware that G7, they are also meeting to also see how to de-escalate. And I think that's the way to go, to see how to de-escalate this tension, so that Israel does not retaliate. If Israel retaliates, I'm sure there's going to be a full-blown war in the Middle East, and that will not be good for the Middle East. Of course, you know the strategic importance that the Middle East play in terms of the global crude oil supply. That is going to affect the economy of the world. I'm happy, as I said, that efforts are being made to see how to persuade Israel not to retaliate the attacks of Iranian.
Okay, Dr. Jude, let me come in here. You have spoken about support and allies, support from friends and allies of both countries. I mean, we have seen countries from the West that are also supporting Israel, and other countries within the Middle East supporting Iran. I'd like to hear from you. What do you think about fears from people who may be saying, perhaps, if this is not nipped in the bud as soon as possible, we are at the risk of a World War III? I know you have mentioned United Nations Security Council, all of these people and organizations coming in to find a way for a common ground, but then these people have fears. What can you say in this regard?
Yes, even in Nigeria here, we know what could play out if the tension, the escalation is not nipped to the bud. Of course, we are going very soon going to see it playing out along the religious lines also. Of course, you know that today Israel is seen as the headquarters of Christianity in the world, and the Iranian also represent Iranian and some other countries that are Iranian, and some other countries also represent the Islamic global community also. So it is dangerous if this thing is not nipped to the bud. We could see it playing out along religious lines. So the escalation we are seeing in the Middle East now may as well escalate to other parts of the world. Of course, you know what happened in 2001 when Al-Qaeda bombed the U.S. There were riots in Nigeria, in Maiduguri, Kano, and other parts of Nigeria where about 1,000 people were killed. And that's why it's important that efforts should be made at the higher level to see how to de-escalate the tension that is ongoing. In addition to the economic impact I said that could have on the globe. Of course, I watch some persons who were interviewed in Israel today. They also expressed fears also. Of course, they know what the harm that a direct confrontation between Iran and Israel.
I'm afraid that's the much we can take, Dr. Jude. Thank you so much for your insights and contributions on this particular tension in the Middle East. And we can only hope that solution is provided soon. Thank you so much.
Yes.
And finally, in sports news, in a historic moment for Bayern Leverkusen, Victor Boniface played a pivotal role in securing their first ever Bundesliga title with a resounding 5-0 victory over Werder Bremen. Boniface not only scored but also provided an assist in the memorable win. The title celebrations were momentarily put on hold as Bayern Munich secured a win against Cologne on Saturday. But joy erupted at the Bayerner when Leverkusen claimed the title on Sunday. The match saw stunning goals from Granit Xhaka and Florian Wirtz, with Wirtz's performance leading to scenes of jubilation as fans stormed the pitch. This landmark achievement ends Bayern's 11-year reign of dominance in the Bundesliga. Meanwhile, in the Premier League, Arsenal suffered a setback in the title race with a 2-0 defeat against Aston Villa at the Emirates. Late goals from Leon Bailey and Ollie Watkins secured the win for Villa, who maintained their fourth-place position. Former Arsenal manager Unai Emery celebrated a double victory over his former club as Villa's goals came in the closing minutes of the match. Still on sports, the Federal Capital Territory will witness the first academic football league in 2024 with 8 teams jostling for honors in the league. Trust TV sports correspondent Adeni Ajishafe has more.
Football as a sport has grown across the globe, with Nigeria not an exception in development of the round ladder game, with various schools and academies grooming football talent. Nigeria, known for talented footballers both in the grassroots and at the professional level, is yet to fully harness the benefit of football business, despite secondary schools and football academies grooming a lot of football talent. Hence the need to organize an academy league in Abuja by 5 Star Football for competitiveness and unity. Media and welfare officer 5 Star Football said football as a career path creates future champions while also create unity and peace in the society. As head of operations, Michelle Diko maintained that the rules and regulations governing the league must be adhered to.
As some of you coaches here know about the importance of sports in a child's life and an adult's life, so through the Academy League, we hope to bring on stronger forces with the help of each sports director here, each sports coach, able to foster a unity, a bond with these players from their schools.
It says each match will have a duration of 40 minutes. That is 20 minutes per half, 5 minutes break time, and 60 minutes during semi-finals and final stages, with 30 minutes per half, 8 minutes break time. So once your time is set, we are people who are very principled. We do not joke with our time. If we say our game starts by 1, we're known for always keeping to time.
Managing Director of 5 Star said that grassroots football is a bedrock of discovering world talent, as Rai Gaya believes football is such a strong force that unites all.
Years ago, there used to be Principal's Cup, there used to be a lot of projects for schools and engagements that are professionally done, and that's what we're trying to do with the Academy League. We're not just coming to do a one-off project, or we're not just coming to say children come together and play football. We're looking at how it grows from Abuja, outside Abuja, beyond Nigeria, to the rest of the world.
This tournament is a great way to ensuring that children follow their passion, because we know a lot of boys and girls are passionate about football. So we are working in line to ensure that students always follow the right path.
Oluwabukola Ronald believes that the concept of having an academic league is of great importance to the students.
From what I've observed, I could see that it's a very huge platform for students to be elevated and also to help them in their football career path.
8 schools will participate in the debut season of the Academy League with a duration of 40 minutes to play for, as NTIC will battle Divine Mercy, Premier Academy, Locons with Pace Setters, Marvin Academy tackles Aduve International School as Stella Maris face Royal Family in a 2-week duration from 30th April till 11th May 2024. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
Well, there you have it. You're up to speed with some of the imagined and reimagined stories across Nigeria and beyond. And with that, we've come to the end of the news hour on Trust Television. Remember, you can always follow us across all of our social media platforms and also join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentary. I am Aisha Salihu. Thank you so much for your time. Good night.